News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. And there's your closing bell for this Friday on Wall Street, where a renewed wave of dip buying had stocks roaring back. Look at these percentages. We're bringing the closing numbers each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 about 2% higher, gaining 134 points. NASDAQ more than 2% higher, gaining 491 points. The Dow 2.5% higher, gaining 1,200 points. The Dow now more than 50,000 for the first time. Bitcoin more than 12% higher, reclaiming almost all of yesterday's losses. Bitcoin now around $70,000. And we'll have more on the markets just ahead. But first, Trump administration officials are looking into opening an antitrust investigation into U.S. homebuilders to try to tackle the country's housing affordability crisis. Bloomberg real estate reporter Pat Clark says the potential focus is going to be on how information is shared through the Leading Builders of America trade group.
One thing that's caught the eye of administration officials is a trade group and they're concerned that, our home builders coordinating through the trade group. And that's a thing that's been raised, at least internally.
Bloomberg real estate reporter Pat Clark on Bloomberg Business Week Daily. Home builder shares were about 1% lower in regular trading. The Wall Street Journal is reporting the Justice Department is also investigating whether Netflix has engaged in anti-competitive tactics. It's probing the streaming giant's proposed acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery Studios and HBO Max streaming service. A racist post on President Trump's social media account depicting former President Obama and his wife Michelle as primates in a jungle has been taken down. The White House initially defended the post, accusing critics of false outrage. But the post was deleted after widespread backlash. Black and white Republicans joined civil rights advocates in criticizing the post as racist. Amazon shares lost about 7% in regular trading after its much higher than expected $200 billion annual capital spending forecast underlined concerns about how much big tech companies are spending on AI-related investments. BlackRock CIO of Global Fixed Income, Rick Rieder, says the government shutdown delayed jobs numbers that created something of a muddy picture. But he says some things are still crystal clear.
Look at the JOLTS report, look at the Challenger job cuts, you look at the claims data, you look at the ISM services in terms of jobs. There's no ambiguity around where we are in the jobs market. We're having a really tough time. We're watching productivity explode higher in terms of growth being really good, but a job market that's really tricky.
Reader was on Bloomberg's Open Interest. Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic says it is important to keep interest rates at a level that returns inflation to 2%.
What I've learned is that we really don't want to have inflation. Right? Once inflation gets entrenched in people's minds, it changes how the economy evolves. And it's one of the reasons why I think that we need to keep our policy in a restrictive posture so that we get inflation back to 2%. That's paramount. High prices and the prospect of rising prices really do have a lot of families on the edge.
Bostic, who is set to step down from his role at the end of this month, spoke with Bloomberg TV's Mike McKee in an exclusive interview. Iran and the United States have held indirect talks in Oman. Those negotiations, praised by Iran and Oman, appear to be a return to the starting point on how to approach discussions over Tehran's nuclear program. Iran's foreign minister says discussions were limited to nuclear issues. U.S. officials say they should include Iran's missiles and Tehran's support for regional militias. 14 years after a mob attacked U.S. consular facilities in Benghazi, Libya, killing the U.S. ambassador and 3 staff members, Attorney General Pam Bondi announced an arrest and extradition.
The FBI has arrested one of the key participants behind the Benghazi attack. Zubair al-Bakash landed at Andrews Air Force Base at 3 a.m. this morning.
Bondi says al-Bakash faces murder, arson, and terrorism-related charges. Savannah Guthrie's brother has renewed the family's plea for their mother's kidnapper to contact them, saying, quote, "We want to hear from you, and they need proof that she's alive." Authorities have not identified any suspects or persons of interest in kidnapping of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. Attorney General Bondi says the FBI is helping.
We're doing everything to assist the locals. We're working with the locals.
The FBI is offering up to $50,000 for information. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. This is Bloomberg.